Smash Ultimate has built up quite the roster over the past 5 years. The base game features every character to ever exist in Smash, and since its release in 2018, there's been 12 characters added through DLC. That being said, the game is in such a weird place right now because it feels like this is the ultimate game featuring every character you could have ever wanted, and yet we're still seeking more. Some fans are adding their beloved characters that originally missed the roster by modding their game, and other fans are advocating for the removal of this guy who's just trying to build a new home. But ultimately, see what I did there? There's a giant elephant in the room when it comes to Smash, and that's the fact that Smash Ultimate might be nearing the end of its course. Unless you've looked at the timeline of new Smash game releases, it might not have dawned on some fans that the longest we've gone without a new Smash game is about 7 years, but on average they release sooner than that. And coincidentally, it seems like we continue to get more and more leaks and rumors about the next Nintendo console. It seems like it will be some kind of Switch Pro, as it seems the Switch is also nearing the end of its life, which is crazy to say, and it makes me feel very old, by the way. So naturally, if we're due for a new Smash game and we're due for a new Nintendo console, then that just means that we're getting a new Smash game for the next generation pretty much right away, right? Well, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So if you don't already know, Sakurai has made it clear that Smash Ultimate is like the ultimate Smash game. There's never going to be another Smash game, or really any game if you think about it, with this many characters from so many different franchises. He's also made it clear that he's at peace with the series. You know, he originally stated a while back that he really had no, immediate plans to make another Smash game, and about a year ago he kind of changed his stance a little bit. He essentially said that it's just becoming too much for one person. You know, Sakurai has been the creative lead for Smash ever since its existence, which is why we've had that consistency throughout multiple Smash games. And in order for there to be another Smash game, he feels like he needs, a bigger team to kind of help manage those things. At the same time, he has to find people that, directly align with the vision that he has for the game. Sakurai made it very clear that if there was another Smash game, and those are the key words, if there was, that it would have to involve the right people that are able to, keep that creative vision going, which we've seen throughout the series of Smash. So pretty much it sounds like, they're not too thrilled about the idea of having to make another Smash game. That's obviously what the fans want. They're obviously going to make money if they do it. And I do see it happening for the next generation as well. I don't see them just stopping making Smash, as one of the big money makers, and everybody loves the game, Now that being said, I think this can go two possible directions. The first possible direction I can see them going with for the next Smash game would be to significantly cut down the roster, maybe even get rid of most of the characters except for the essential ones, and then just add, completely different characters. Basically kind of a restart for the franchise, right? Really cut down the roster. It's going to be nowhere close to the size of what we have in Ultimate, and it's kind of just like a hard refresh for Smash. I definitely think that would be possible. Maybe cut the roster down just about in half. There's about 90 characters, cut it down to 45, and then, you can always add DLC and kind of build it up to basically the numbers that Smash 4 had. I think Smash 4 had almost 60 characters. Just keep it kind of right there. The second idea, and the one that I feel like is more likely, and I'm going to go ahead and quote him because he said, quote me on this. I kind of read it and I was like, you know what, this makes the most sense to me. H-Box, he kind of came up with it. I guess, I don't know if he came up with it. This is like a, it's like a very, I guess, obvious kind of, take. But anyways, the second idea would be to basically make a deluxe version of Smash Ultimate, right? So we've seen so many games ported over to the Switch from the Wii U. We've seen it with Mario Kart, we've seen it with Mario games, we've seen it with Donkey Kong, we've seen it with so many different games. They just make a deluxe version, or they just straight up re-release it, right? Like you got like Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which is basically the same thing. Basically port the game over, make it a deluxe version, have all the same characters, all that kind of stuff. And what I could see, if they were to go that route, I could see them adding more characters, more stages, and then maybe even a story mode. I think this would be the more likely direction that we would get, considering the fact that it would be a little bit easier to do. You don't have to completely make a new game. You can literally just port the game over, add more characters, which are obviously a lot of work in themselves, but you don't have to make a whole entire new game, and basically resell it. And I think if they were to add like a story mode, kind of more similar to Subspace, right? Not like World of the Light, which personally I hated. If they were to add something like that, I think it really gives, people an incentive to buy it as well. And of course, if this were to be some kind of port, like the game mechanically would just stay the same, it would pretty much just be Ultimate with more characters. But it would give people a reason to, purchase it on this next console. It would keep the series alive, it would make the game feel fresh, and I think honestly it's the most realistic option if they were to go ahead and make another, quote-unquote Smash game, just because, it really doesn't seem like they're too thrilled about the idea of making another Smash game, and like I said, this would be the simplest way to do it. And considering the success behind things like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, we've seen other games, like I said, ported over to the Switch, which have done well. It just makes the most sense, honestly. And obviously with the Wii U, it's a little bit different. You have to take that in consideration, right? Most people didn't have a Wii U, so of course it's going to sell well on the Switch, which is one of the best-selling consoles out there. Whereas, if you have a Switch and we are you know, coming out with the Switch Pro, how many people are going to buy the Switch Pro? You have to kind of like look at those types of things. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. We're taking the second approach of a Smash Ultimate Deluxe version, and I'm going to be building the roster for that game. So of course, in order to do this, we have to kind of take some logical approaches here, right? So when you look at a game like Mario Kart, for example, Mario Kart on Wii U had about 36 characters in the game. With Deluxe version, it's going to have up to 48 characters, so pretty big increase in the number of characters. It basically took a third of the characters that were in Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U and basically added that to the next game, right? That's really unrealistic, I feel like, for a game like Smash, because we basically have 89 characters in Smash Ultimate. If you took a third of those and added it to the next Smash game, that would be 30 more characters. That's kind of unrealistic. So I think 15 would be a good number. To me, that's a really good logical number right there. I think 15 new characters for a new game, that makes sense. And similar to Mario Kart Deluxe, I don't think that these characters would all be released at once. Let's say we have 5 characters for the base Deluxe game, and then we're going to get 5 more characters in the first wave, 5 more characters in the next wave, and that's going to carry out this game's lifespan. Similar to Ultimate, similar to Smash 4, we have this DLC that kind of gets spread out and keeps the game alive. So we need to figure out what are the base 5 characters that come out with Smash Ultimate Deluxe, and then which 5 characters are going to be Wave 1 DLC and which 5 characters are going to be Wave 2. So in order for us to build this roster of the starting 5 characters for the next Smash game, a Smash Ultimate Deluxe game if you will, we kind of have to do our research, look at the history of games, kind of see what the repeating patterns are, and kind of just, you know, use our numbers to make a logical decision here. If you look back at all the Smash games since Smash 64's release, there are some repeating patterns, you know, throughout most of the games that we've gotten since then. We're going to go ahead and get the easy one out of the way, and that is just a recognizable Nintendo character. Obviously, in every Smash game, we get new Nintendo characters, and this is one that I'm very surprised we have not gotten in Smash, and that, of course, is Bandana Waddle Dee, the first Kirby newcomer since Brawl, actually. Now, obviously, this is a recognizable character, one of the main Kirby characters, honestly, like a playable character in a lot of Kirby games, and it's very recognizable. A lot of people, including myself, have highly requested this character, and it's really a big surprise that we haven't gotten him in yet. This is a character that probably wouldn't be too popular as a DLC choice, so it makes sense to include it in the base roster of the next Smash game. The next choice, we have to look at another repeating pattern, and that's the fact that we pretty much always get a new villain in each game. So obviously in Melee we got characters like Bowser and Ganon, and in Brawl we got characters like DDD and Meta Knight. Smash 4 we really only got Dark Pit, but still a villain. And then of course in Ultimate we got Ridley and K. Rool. So that means we definitely have to have a villain in the starting cast right here. And I think the perfect villain would be Dr. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik. At this point, Sonic is a veteran within the Smash series. Since Brawl, we've had Sonic, and a lot of people have wanted another Sonic character, whether it be Shadow, Tails, Knuckles, or even Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman makes sense to me. It will be a completely new character, completely different moveset, and obviously a very recognizable character. And it would be a great way to bring in even more Sonic fans that maybe aren't too rooted with the Smash series. Another category of characters that we typically get with the starting roster of a new Smash game are the retro characters. So these are characters that have appeared in retro games throughout Nintendo's history, or just have been, you know, I guess retro toys in that sense. I mean, that's kind of what Rob is, right? But I'm talking about characters like Ice Climbers, characters like Game & Watch, Duck Hunt. And I think for this slot, it kind of comes down to 2 character choices. One being a previously cut character, which was Excite Bike. The other one being Balloon Fighter. I personally think Balloon Fighter makes more sense as a character, so that's the character I'm going to go with here for this slot. I think Balloon Fighter would have a very unique moveset. Obviously, kind of a recognizable character. It adds that retro aspect to it, you know, that we've kind of seen throughout the Smash series. Every single game, we get a new retro character, pretty much. And even though we have the obvious reference to Balloon Fighter with Villager's recovery move, I do think that you could create a unique moveset for this character, and I think it would be a really fun character to play as. That leaves 2 slots left. The next one, we're going to go with another obvious choice, and that's going to be the Pokemon character. We always receive new Pokemon. Every single Smash game we receive new Pokemon, so we definitely have to include one. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky because I have to make some predictions here, because who knows when this game would actually come out, if it ever came out. Scarlet and Violet would be a thing of the past, more than likely. And I do think at that point we might be right around the time of those Black and White Unova remakes. And if that's the case, what better character to include than N? One of the most famous characters in the Pokemon series in my opinion, especially for Pokemon Black and White. And I think this will give us the opportunity to have another Pokemon character, kind of like Pokemon Trainer in a way, where it's just more than one Pokemon. Obviously Zora is a big part of N. It's, you know, has to do with N's character a lot. So I could see Zora kind of being utilized in a way, but I feel like N is very connected to the legendaries of the Black and White region. So Zekrom Zekrom and Reshiram. So I can honestly see a Pokemon trainer style of character, but with those legendaries with Zekrom and Reshiram. And N would be on the sideline, kind of like Pokemon trainer, maybe with Zora on the shoulder, and Zora would help with the moveset, I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is this slot would be another Pokemon trainer kind of spot, but it would be a character like N. It wouldn't be exactly the same where it's the 3 starters, you know, and you just kind of switch between them, but I do see it being some kind of swap with characters with a Zekrom and Reshiram. I think that'd be really cool. And again, this is based on the fact that maybe we'll get black and white remakes if it all has to kind of line up together, but if that were to be the case, it would bring in those previous fans of Pokemon Black and White, while also appealing to the new fans of Pokemon because it'd be a new game for them. And for the 5th slot of the base game here, I'm gonna have to go with a third-party character, one that is very popular, one that is highly requested, including by myself, and that of course is Crash Bandicoot. And this will be that big character announcement that will be included with the base game. In games like Smash 4, we got Mega Man, we got Pac-Man, very hyped characters that were kind of unexpected. Back in Brawl, obviously Sonic and Snake were characters that nobody expected. So I think in this game, it would have to be a character like Crash, a highly requested character that most people wouldn't see coming, at least for the base game. Obviously, Crash started off as the Sony mascot and rivaled Mario, you know, back in the late 90s. But you know, throughout time, we've gotten Crash on so many different Nintendo consoles. Crash has been a big part of Nintendo games, and I definitely see this character being in Smash. Again, I'm very surprised that he isn't already. And Crash as a series is still very active. They're coming out with Crash Team Rumble pretty soon, and I see them making even more Crash games, so it definitely makes sense to include a character like Crash. His moveset will be crazy. Everybody loves Crash. I would love to see this character in the base game for Smash Ultimate Deluxe. I think for the base roster, this is a very solid 5 characters right here. They all make sense to me. They all follow those patterns that I've seen throughout other Smash games, and overall, I think most people will be happy with these 5 characters. Next up is going to be Wave 1 DLC, and let's go ahead and just jump into this thing. And again, if you look at the history of DLC characters added to Smash with Smash 4 and with Smash Ultimate, you're typically going to get about 1 to 2 Nintendo characters in each fighter pass, and then you're going to get a lot of third-party characters, characters that are unexpected, characters that are highly requested, or some characters that maybe aren't as requested, but people still enjoy. I guess the exception would be Smash 4 DLC because we got a lot of returning characters, but if you cut those out, we basically just got Corrin, and the rest were all kind of third-party characters. Now that being said, with this first fighter pass, I'm actually going to include 3 Nintendo characters, and that's just because I feel like we've had so many third-party characters already. I don't really see the ability to get certain third-party characters. Like it's gotten crazy, you know. Like I think Sora is the big example, and especially Steve as well. Characters that we all kind of, you know, hoped or expected for Smash, but we never really thought was possible. So to start this fighter pass off, we have to start off with a character that has been highly requested that's going to sell this fighter pass for people, and that of course is going to be Waluigi. This is the character that I don't really care too much about, but I know so many people want to see Waluigi in the game, it just makes sense. This is really the last big Mario character that we still haven't seen in Smash, and so many people have requested for whatever reason. And I'm not hating on the character, I'm just, you know, surprised that he's this highly requested, but obviously it's for good reason, and I think he should be added to the game. After Waluigi, I think they would go ahead and add another fighting game character from a series that we still haven't gotten a character from, and that's Mortal Kombat. The most obvious choice would be a character like Scorpion, but I could see them really adding any character from the series. We've gotten characters from most of the other big fighting games at this point, Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat's the only missing one. Obviously, a fighting game that's been around forever, very, very popular series. It makes perfect sense. The third character for this fighter pass will be another Nintendo character, I believe, and I really can't tell you which one because it doesn't exist yet. And yes, I'm talking about from a new Nintendo IP. I'm talking about from a game that has not released yet. Obviously, if there's a new Nintendo console, there's going to be new Nintendo games. We saw that with the Switch in games like ARMS. Eventually, we got Min Min as DLC. I could definitely see them doing that with whatever Nintendo game they come out with for the next console. So I can't really go into detail with this one because, like I said, it doesn't exist yet, but I do see it being some kind of new Nintendo character from a new Nintendo game. And the fourth character for this pass will be another highly requested character, and that's Shantae. This is just one of those characters that many people have requested throughout the years. We obviously got the skin for Smash Ultimate, but we haven't gotten the actual character herself. And this is obviously a character just to kind of appeal to the people that have really requested her throughout the years. Obviously, we're not getting a lot of Shantae games out there, but a lot of people really want this character, so I definitely see them adding her. And it makes sense. It seems like it would be really easy to make a moveset for her as she just fits the Smash style of the game, and I definitely see it happening. And we have to close out the first fighter pass with another Nintendo character, another character that I'm very surprised we have not gotten in Smash yet, and that is Dixie Kong. Dixie Kong is obviously one of the most famous Kongs out there, next to Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Now, if I had it my way, I wouldn't add Dixie Kong. I would add my boy Lanky Kong. I think he deserves to be in Smash, but I know Dixie Kong is one of the more famous Kongs, and it just makes more sense to include her. I could honestly see them go in the direction of a Funky Kong, but it just makes more sense for Dixie. She would be kind of similar to Diddy, but I do think she would have a unique moveset, and there's a lot of things they could do with their moveset. And overall, that's a pretty solid group of 5 in my opinion. I really do think, you know, we could maybe switch out one of those Nintendo characters with another third-party character, but overall, I think that's a solid 5 that just makes sense. And now we have to move on to the final, and I mean the final fighter pass for Smash Ultimate, the ultimate Smash game. At this point, I don't think they would add anything else after this. This would be the final 5 characters to be added. For this last fighter pass, I do have 2 Nintendo characters and then I have 3 third-party characters. Now this first one might not make sense to people, but in my head it kind of does. We do have the release of Street Fighter 6 pretty soon. I could see them adding another Street Fighter character. There's so many different and unique characters in Street Fighter. I could really see them adding another Street Fighter character. I can't say who, but I do think it will be a character with more of a unique moveset that's also pretty popular and recognizable. Maybe they add like Akuma or Blanca. I don't know who they would add, but I could definitely see it happening. After that, I do think for our second character, we would get that next Nintendo character. And this is one that we haven't seen in a while. A lot of people love this character though, and that's gonna be Slippy. I mean, come on, at this point, we're due for another Star Fox game eventually. Slippy's the main character. Slippy's a popular character. He's funny. Everybody loves him. It just makes sense. And I think out of all the Star Fox characters, like the main crew right there, I think Slippy would have the most unique moveset. There's no way they will make him like a Fox, Falco, Wolf kind of clone with a similar moveset. They will make him completely different, I think. After Slippy, we would get our next kind of third-party character, and this is another popular one that kind of started off mostly with Sony, and that's going to be Spyro. This is going to be a little bit tricky because Spyro did kind of change when Skylanders came out. The whole design changed for Spyro. And me personally, I grew up on the old Spyro games. I love those games, and Skylanders Spyro is just a little bit different, you know? But really, both of these characters do have a deep history with Nintendo, and I remember playing these games as a kid, but they basically had a game called Crash Bandicoot Purple and Spyro Orange. It was kind of like a crossover, and it was only available on the Game Boy Advance. So it's not like these characters are coming just straight over from Sony. They do have a deep history with Nintendo, and Spyro is another beloved character. I see Crash being included with the base game and Spyro being added on later as DLC, but it makes so much sense. This character would be very unique, a character that we haven't seen before. For the 4th character slot, we're going to add another character that some might consider a clone. I don't consider it a clone though. That's going to be Paper Mario, another requested character with a very unique moveset. I've never played any of the Paper Mario games. I really want to, but even just by looking at Paper Mario games, you can tell that this character would have a completely different moveset and just be different from Mario in general. Unlike a Dr. Mario, there's so many different things you could do with Paper Mario's moveset. I'd say most notably he has his hammer, but there's just so many different things from his games that will make him very unique. And that's gonna bring us to our final character for the next Smash game. The character to close it all out. The character that is going to put the final stamp on Smash Ultimate as a whole with this deluxe version. And that character, of course, is no other than Master Chief. You gotta end it off with a bang. You gotta end it off with a character that most people don't think is possible, and that's gonna, of course, be Master Chief. A character from one of the most iconic gaming series in all of gaming history, really. A character that's gonna keep people talking, a character that's gonna bring people in, and a character that's gonna make people happy. Close this game out. If this were to happen, it would be one of the craziest things to ever happen in Smash. I remember when Steve got released and broke the entire internet. I think it would be something similar to that. And by adding Master Chief, you would really close it out by having pretty much all the major gaming icons that have ever existed. I think it would close out Smash Ultimate Deluxe perfectly, and I definitely think it could be possible. It would be a little bit difficult, but we've seen crazier things. And that right there is the potential roster for a Smash Ultimate Deluxe game. Like I said earlier, I could see it happening in 2 possible ways. The first route would be to cut the game pretty much in half with what they have right now in Ultimate, add new characters, and basically do a whole refresh of the series. The other option would be to kind of build off of Ultimate by adding more characters, more stages, and maybe even a story mode or other game modes to bring more people in. Again, this is all speculation, and like I said, some of these are just predictions, right? I'm predicting we'll get a Gen 5 remake, so I could see N being in the game. I'm predicting we would get new Nintendo IPs, so they would add a new character from that. These are all just predictions. That being said, let me know in the comments what characters you would like to see in the next Smash game, and let me know which route you see them going for the next Smash game. And as I said before, you know, I do think that first route's possible, so if you guys want me to make another video where I basically cut the roster in half and tell you which characters I think could possibly stay around for Smash 6, I can definitely do that as well. There's definitely some characters I could see being cut from Smash Ultimate, so it will be kind of fun to go through the roster and cut those characters out to see who might make the next roster. This video took me a while to make, so I appreciate the support on this. Leave a like if you can, and go ahead and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I make videos all the time, including YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and I'm also on Fresh Cut now as a partner, so those are all great places to check me out if you like my content. Smash Ultimate has been great. I'm really excited for the future of it, but of course, I'm always hoping for the next Smash game to come out soon, and that would be very exciting if we got another announcement here within the next couple years. But that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Other than that, I've got nothing else for you guys, so I'll catch you in the next one.